So let's get into the session. Would love to invite Pratekk. He's the founder for Trutus Advisors. Pratekk is a serial entrepreneur, startup advisor, and a prolific early-stage investor. I can tell you this by first-hand experience. We've been doing some deals together. He's also formerly the chief business officer at BharatPe and comes with enormous experience in building organizations at scale such as Bajaj, Finserv, Fullerton, Indostar Capital, and FT Cash, amongst others. He's an alumnus of IIM Kozhikode. He's also passionate about helping founders build successful, scalable businesses and supporting them with his network that he's built over years. Right? He plays a crucial role as an advisor to startups, NBFCs, large fintechs, venture capital firms, and so on and so forth. He's a strong believer that there is no better time today than to invest in the right founders and the right products, right? So with that, Pratekk, I'll let you take it over for an open-ended session on helping us understanding lending in all ways possible.
Thank you, Shitesh. Thank you.
Whatever you're free.
No, I'm good.
Yeah? Okay.
Pratekk. Thank you so much. So, pleasure to be here, and thank you, Shitesh. Thank you, Professor Jaju, for having me here. I think I thoroughly enjoyed all the sessions since morning. They were so informative for me because I think I've lost touch in attending conferences and taking gyan. I think gyan dene mein itna time 2.5 saal se lag gaya कि I think this was just a gold mine for me. Right, seeing that from where, how, and how things have changed over a period of time, right, and where companies have reached. So yeah, my session is all about MSME lending, and I would just like to start with a question: how many over here have taken loans? Okay, it's all the left side, student side. You haven't taken loans, right? Yes, and even probably the long-term pocket money, right, which does not get paid back. And how many are entrepreneurs here? Okay. So credit is a very interesting topic, right? While my session is about MSME credit or MSME lending, right? I think we will touch base on the consumer side also, which is the consumer, which is all of you, right? And the MSME side. And what better than starting what I built at BharatPe, right? When probably we started, that would be the classic and the easiest example of how the cash flows can really create. And in fact, आपने सुना भी होगा, Murthy sir से कि, you have people talking about credit. मैं UPI क्यों use करता हूँ credit के लिए, so all of those things. So when, and this was not the first time. In fact, since morning, we have gone through Science, we have gone through the NPCI, we have gone through the regulator. All of these things come as a package when you talk about lending, right? Because you need to onboard a customer, you need to adhere to the guidelines, you need to be a financier, to lend, and then obviously the risk levels. And so at BharatPe, what did we have, right? The UPI was done. UPI was clocking great transactions. There was somebody sitting in the audience who figured out that UPI is the next big thing. And if you remember UPI in the start, you had to choose a handle to activate yourself on UPI, right? Yes? Do you remember that? Right? How did it take it off? Did it take off that time? Did the adoption increase or decrease? Or it was flat? It was flat, right? Even I was a part of it. I remember doing PRAT something, and then activate it in one account, right? But when did it pick off? It picked off when probably the easy version came in, where you just had to kind of enter it. It would pick up your mobile number, send the SMS automatically, activate you with UPI. So it's the easiness, and that is where BharatPe picked up, and then the UPI transaction started, right? As Vikram said, that UPI started with a P2P, but eventually it was P2P2M, right? That is where the expansion happened, All the QR codes we fixed at Merchant Place, and people started downloading within single click. Right, the agents, we had about what, 3,000, 4,000 agents going shop to shop. They went, fixed the QR code, scanned it through their app, and it could connect the bank account with the QR code, and the merchant was ready to receive the payment within a single second, right? That is where the transaction flow started. So if you see, the previous way, or the current 95% of lending which is done in India is done through traditional methods or traditional banks, right? These traditional banks, what do? They ask you for your KYC physical copies, they ask you for your bank statements, they ask you all those things in physical, right? And then they underwrite you with a bureau, and then they give you a credit. Whereas the new fintech, what fintech got to India and fintech got to merchants and consumers and everybody, is about, can I underwrite the data, that flow of transactions? So agar koi merchant is doing, say, 1,000 rupee transaction every day on digital, right? And probably safely the number is 25% to 30%. That means every merchant normally does about 30% of digital transaction, right? So that means his remaining 70% is on cash, right? If I underwrite that merchant, in our language, underwriting means understanding his cash flows, right? And if I am saying that with this transaction, agar uska 30 rupees ka transaction hai, and I can underwrite it, I can safely say that he does 100 rupees of business, can I give him, say, 30 rupees over next 6 months, right? And take a pie of it every day, right? So this is the cash flow management, and this is how companies like BharatPe, companies like Paytm, OK Credit, Khata Book, and multiple other companies have basically built the credit underwriting model on this, right? So you have a cash flow transaction, you underwrite them, you take certain amount which is feasible, you know when customers will come and transact, you can take a pie out of it. तो अगर दिन का transaction 1,000 रुपए हो रहा है और उसका EMI 500 रुपए है, right? So 500 rupees will be removed as your EMI, and 500 rupees will be settled to your bank account. Can you think of anything if you didn't have this kind of infrastructure? Right? And this is only about, we are talking about what, 65 million merchants in India, right? Which is tier 3, 4, 5, tier 1, 2, everybody, right? And then you see, and I should, I think, say that why I was so kicked to even join this company and probably build this business is because prior to that, I used to work with a company called FT Cash, right? And you know, when I used to, my teams used to sell machines worth 15,000 rupees, right? And 15,000 rupees worth of machine, wahan pe you do a transaction, you pay an MDR, right? Which is like 100 rupees. If he swiped, he will get 98 rupees. 2% MDR is cut and he will get 98 rupees in his bank account, right? So imagine when you are swiping your credit card, there is somebody paying for that MDR, right? And for a businessman, if tomorrow you are directly giving him an access to a QR code which costs nothing, and he gets 100 rupees ka 100 rupees in his bank account, does that make sense for a businessman? Yeah? So this is how I would say that fintech is revolutionizing the entire lending ecosystem. And we have, as you know, all the speakers said since morning, that this is just a start. This is just a start. You have not even scratched the surface. Today, probably, I think 96% or something is still done by the traditional banks, right? And only 5% of lending today monthly is done by fintechs, right? And the regulator has come just at the right time where he's saying that, hey, just be cautious that all of these click to pay, click to loan, you know, 2-minute payday loans, right? These are some things which probably are great for the upper middle class, the 5 crore people, right? But what about the balance 135 crore people, right? They get conned by jamtaras. They get conned by all those, you know, we spoke about, right? Where QR code is displayed, your money is received, siphoned off, right? So I think we just at the right time, and what I feel is that this is only a start, right? If you now tier the merchants ecosystem, which is Kirana shops, right? Then comes the showrooms which have the glass doors, they have the POS machines, you have companies like Pine Labs, right? You have EMI cards, you have HDFC credit cards, you know, where you can buy a mobile phone, convert it into EMI product. And so these things now gradually increase, right? So somebody at a Kirana shop, which is probably a 60 million merchants, right? They can't buy Tally or any other products, right? But now you have companies like Khata Book and OK Credit who are giving options. I think I heard about one of the examples in the morning, 450 people around Foolwalas and all of that, right? So वो क्या use कर रहा है? पहले वो 5 दिन spend करता था for collections. Now he has got all those 450 people in probably an OK Credit app, right? He just clicks a button, invoice is gone. With the invoice, you have a link where you click a link, your UPI pop-up just comes over, you enter your 4-digit PIN, and your payment is made to the vendor. Isn't that beautiful, right? And then you have companies, another level of companies where you have all of these invoice management softwares, Zoho books, and now what will happen, what I see a trend in next 2 years, is that all of these, and if you see, you know, every year, right, suppose we have 135 crore people, 140 crore, right? Every year you have at least 10 to 15% people who are moving from the last slab to the second last to the third, right? What is this? This is about, you know, people getting more accustomed to, you know, moving from a black and white phone to a smarter phone, smart to a probably a much more smarter phone, using 5 apps to a 50 apps to a 500 apps, right? And this is where the penetration of digital, this is where the penetration of fintech, this is where people will start realizing the time and money, right? How much of time, sir was saying me, right? Radhya sir was saying that he spent about 2 hours in last 1 week for the KYC, right? Why should he do that, right? I think the future is where sitting at home, can you do a KYC on your WhatsApp, right? And that is actually not a future. That is just going to be launched next week with a cooperative bank, right? And we are working on that. So the future is about using technology, using a right framework, using right channels to make everything available and ensuring that you make better use of your time, right? You don't need to go to a bank for doing something which is as standard as KYC, right? And a clerk is doing that over there, right? Can you do sitting at home? In fact, I don't have a laptop, but I would just tell you, go to Experian website, EXPERIAN, okay, Experian.in. Not right now, you can go it later, right? Experian website, right? I'm an advisor to Gupshup, and what we have done with Experian is, this idea came in when probably I was thinking that why should you, you know, if APIs can be integrated in websites, right, and bank lenders to pull your credit bureau report, can I use those APIs onto a WhatsApp, right? And we went and talked to Gupshup, we went and talked to Experian, and we got a bot now where you can just go to Experian website, scan a QR code, you will be directed to a WhatsApp. WhatsApp ke upar you will enter your date of birth, you will enter your name, mobile number, it will pick up from WhatsApp, and within 30 seconds, you will have your credit score on WhatsApp and your credit bureau report in your email, right? And this is going to be extended to B2Bs, right, which is businesses and NBFCs. I don't know if you're following it, but I'll be able to help you out in, you know, simplifying it if in case it's too much of jargons, right? So I think this is, for me, the right time, as Kshitij said, right, which I keep quoting, that it couldn't be a better time to do this. It couldn't be a better time for all the suited booted, right, to figure out that, you know, become product managers, understand financial services. If you are in the flow of money, right, in any ways, right, and you are able to understand it, and you are able to innovate, and you are able to challenge, and you are able to find an issue in your day-to-day lives, right, this industry is never going to go down, right? And with more experience, with more acumen, with more jugaad, which we all are I mean, born with, right, in India. I think we can really do wonders, and this is just the right time for India. Yeah, I'll just check if I have left out on anything which I needed to cover. So yeah, for consumers, I think for consumers, this is about MSME, right? For consumers also, it is about all the loan apps, right? Banking, financial apps, which are using your data, right? Not for wrong reasons, but they need to underwrite you, right? If you're out of college and you want to get a loan for yourself, you want to get a mobile phone or a bike, right? How do you think your financial services institution will underwrite you, right? So now we are talking about, first is alternative data, which is where do you get your money from? How many bank accounts do you have? Do you have regular credits? Are you paying your bills? Do you get your minimum due, or do you get your electricity bill due or mobile phone bill due? These are alternative data, right? Second, most of the companies have started giving first-time loans, or NTC, which is called as new to credit, right? So they will start with a 5,000, 10,000 rupee loan, right? Or a Bajaj Finance small little loan. And once you start repaying that, you start building your credit history. And that credit history, which is probably regulated in India with Experian, with TransUnion, Sibyl, this is where you will start building your, credit, right? And then more financial institutions or bankers will be able to give you. And what we spoke in the morning, since morning in 2-3 conversations, is how alternative data and how algorithms eventually get into a AI/ML model. So when you have 100 customers, when you have 1,000, when you have million, or when you have 100 million, right? The data will automatically train itself and tell that this guy from this pin code with this kind of college or with this kind of mobile phone series, right, is expected to go default. So do not do it, right? And then you now figure it out. Since morning, you would have heard what Ankit said in SignZ, right? So you have an onboarding mechanism who's working and identifying you. You have a regulator who's checking on you. You have a bureau who's collecting your data. You have government agencies. You have social media. You have all of these things. So you can't work in silos, right? You can't work in silos. And this is probably what fintech is going to be all about in just a couple of years, I feel. Do you think it's too much of me talking and you want to start throwing some questions?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Prateek. Really appreciate you giving us that worldwide overview.